Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head down to Yorkshire, and this is a brewery who I've heard some very good things about. From what I gather, they were one of the first breweries who really started pushing craft beer down in that part of England, and of course Robert Hopsine and Stuart Pickard from Ginger Ale Trail are the ones that will be able to tell you about that. But for this review we're going to do my first beer review from Roosters Brewery from Knaresborough, and this should be a really interesting beer. It's called Northern Powerhouse. It comes in at 4.5%, a session IPA brewed in collaboration with Magic Rock from Huddersfield, and this was the beer that they produced for their 25th anniversary. 2018, of course, is their 25th anniversary. So as I say, a very well established brewery. This was another one that came highly regarded or highly recommended from the guys at Market Hall Wines in Durham as well. And as I've told you before, they do tend to tell me to review some pretty damn good beers. So looking forward to this one, and as always, I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. Do make sure you check out Rob and Stuart's channels as well. I'll try and remember to put those in the description for you below. But anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the breweries involved here. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery websites, link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do in the future from Roosters Brewery, and my other reviews that I've already done from Magic Rock. No doubt I will do some more from them in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city or state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the English beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. You guys are a really good information source when it comes to the beer, so don't hesitate to get in touch. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Roosters Brewery then. So Roosters Brewery was founded back in 1993 by Sean Franklin and his wife Alison, and as I said to you, they're based in Knaresborough in Yorkshire. It's a little bit to the west of York itself, but he'd previously founded Franklin's Brewery, which he then sold on in 1986, and Sean apparently was quite a perfectionist when it came to brewing and also storing beer as well. Apparently he went to some beer festival and he didn't like the way that they were going to actually store his beer, so he just took the kegs and went back to Knaresborough with it, which is, you know, kind of unheard of actually. But he was also heavily involved with the UK National Hop Association, and I think he did quite a few things with CAMRA as well. But the brewery started off just as a cask only brewery, but they became known for putting a lot of flavour into their beers at a time, you know, when most breweries were stripping back, and they won many awards as a result of this. There's a whole list on the website of all the different medals and all these kind of things that they were awarded. But in 2011 Sean decided that he wanted to retire, and as a result the brewery was sold to the Fozzard family. So Ian Fozzard actually had a background as an accountant, and he worked in general management for a number of years as well. He'd been a long time member of CAMRA, and he was involved in the Roden Inns group, who'd taken over a lot of inns and really old pubs throughout Yorkshire and given them basically a new lease of life. But he now runs the brewery with his sons Tom and Oliver. Oliver actually worked as a brewer at Daleside Brewery from when he left school, and then he went on to work for Copper Dragon as well, and he gained his brewing certificate when they were taking over the brewery. He actually worked with Sean Franklin for, I think it was 7 months, it was saying in their little description. He worked with him for 7 months to actually get used to brewing the Roosters beers that were already there, and he gained his brewing certificate while he was doing this. But Tom had a background in publishing, and he was working for Beer Ritz in Leeds as well. He was really enthusiastic about beer, and he did some home brewing as well, but he's now the commercial manager of the brewery. And over the years since the Fozzards have taken over, they've increased their capacity. In 2014 they became one of the first breweries in England to introduce a canning line for their beers, and the following year in 2015 they began to export their beers as well. This year, 2018, since it was 1993 they were founded, they're celebrating their 25th anniversary, and as I said to you at the start of the video, this is the beer that they've produced to celebrate that. And I think they are doing a number of collaborations as well. They've got a collaboration that very recently came out with Beavertown, so I'm going to see if I can get a hold of one of those to review for you as well. But they're getting very experimental, and it is cool to see that a brewery that is, you know, quite as established as this is still kind of sticking to the experimental roots of homebrewing. So I'm sure we'll review some interesting beers from Roosters in the future. I'm surprised that I haven't come across them before actually, but thank you to the guys at Durham Wines, or Market Hall Wines, for recommending this beer to me. But that's all you need to know about this brewery just now. As I say, the brewery website and stuff's in the description below, and you can have a little look for yourself. So anyway, on to Magic Rock then before we taste the beer. So Magic Rock Brewing, as I've told you many a time, are based in Huddersfield in Yorkshire. They were established in 2011 by brothers Richard and Johnny Burhouse. Johnny later left the company though, and they were soon joined by head brewer Stuart Ross. But the beer brewing began in mid-2011, and the beers proved so popular that the brewery actually won the accolade of Best New Brewery of 2012 by Rate Beer. Of course, that's a really, really prestigious thing. When you think that it's a heavily American-dominated site, for an English brewery to win anything on Rate Beer does kind of tell you that it's, you know, that tells you the sort of quality of stuff that they're producing. But the brewery was largely inspired by the craft beer scene over in America. Of course, it's really just expanding all the time, and over the last few years they've been expanding their staff and capacity really quite steadily because their beers are obviously in very high demand. But as of 2015, the brewery are based in the Willow Business Park in Birkby, and they employ well over 30 people. And the new site has a brewing capacity of 10,000 hectolitres per year and a fermentation capacity of around 70,000 litres. I actually think those figures might actually be a little bit out of date since I made those brewery notes. But, you know, as I say, Magic Rock are one of the really established craft breweries in England, probably one of the best known in Yorkshire actually. Roosters, as I say, one of the more established ones. So for this beer, you are getting something that really is quite Yorkshire with this. So it really is a pretty cool beer for this one. So as I say, that's all you need to know about Magic Rock. Have a look at their brewery website in the description below, and you can learn a little bit more if you want. But let's actually get on to the tasting of this beer. It's been sitting there for a little while, looking tempting. So I'll just have a little look at the artwork on this one quickly. There you can see the rooster symbol, and there you can see here is Magic Rock symbol, this almost like castle kind of gate thing. There you can see 25th anniversary, the cross just showing that it's a collaboration. 4.5% session IPA. It says on the back here, a soft and juicy session IPA with both malty sweetness and hot bitterness, balanced and bursting with citrus and tropical fruit flavours with a hint of pine from a blend of Azacca, Mosaic and Simcoe hops. And Northern Powerhouse is the first of Roosters' 25th anniversary collaboration project beers and has been fermented using Magic Rock's yeast strain. So it should be really nice. 1.5 UK units, apparently 130 calories, 4.5% ABV. So without further ado, let's get this guy open and we'll see how we go on. Definitely looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to this one in particular because, as I've told you on the channel before, I love it when IPAs have got a bit of orange flavour. I mean, if you've got Azacca, you tend to get this sort of mandarini orangey flavour from it. Mosaic, of course, gives you a little bit of a kind of more tangerine note. Simcoe, as we know, is a kind of more tropical fruit. That gives you some nice sort of passion fruit and things like that. I do love that about Simcoe. It's a really nice hop, but you can smell the oranges on this beer right away as you open it up. And as you can see with this one, it's poured a really kind of pale golden straw clear colour, this one. I was expecting it might have been hazy, to be honest, just the way that IPAs are going these days, but as you can see, there's a solid finger of a frothy white head on this one. I would actually say it's maybe even leaning more towards a kind of creamy colour. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But overall, it does look really quite nice actually, so definitely glad that I was able to have a look at this beer. It looks nice and it smells nice. Let's take a closer look at that aroma then and just see how we get on. Oh yeah. For me actually, the Simcoe is quite prominent in this one. The passion fruit, you can really smell that just kind of underpinning the beer. It's got quite a bready malt base to it as well. You can really smell some of these wheaty kind of bready notes coming out of it. I'm pretty sure that's an English malt base that's in this one, because it does have a little bit of a kind of grainy edge to it. The German malts I always find are a little bit smoother. This one to me has a little bit of a grainy quality to it. It does have a little bit, just that kind of grainy sort of barley smell, if you like. I always find it's nice actually with English malt. I do like that about it. But you can definitely pick up that it's an English malt base, and it's probably local Yorkshire malt that they're using. If it's two Yorkshire breweries, you know, they probably are using stuff that's pretty local to Knaresborough and Huddersfield and things. But it does smell really nice. The hoppy side of things, you've got a nice little bit of grassy and floral character, as you'd expect. It does lean a little bit more towards the grassy side of things, I would say, to be honest, but it does have a little bit of that kind of spicy edge. I'm not sure whether I would say it was piney resins. To me, it does. It's more of a kind of floral thing. I'm not sure I get the piney resins in the aroma, but I'm sure with the hops that are in there we'll get them in the flavour. But yeah, as I say, the passion fruit for me is kind of sticking out with this one. There's maybe a little bit of a mango in there as well, which is interesting, because normally it's Citra that you get mango from. But maybe it's the Azacca. Azacca's quite an interesting one. From what I remember, Azacca gives you a sort of mandarin, like a kind of sharp mandarin-y orange. Mosaic, of course, can usually give you a little bit of pineapple or something like that, and a sort of tangerine-y orange base. It's more orange than pineapple, right enough. So it's always interesting when you smell beers just to see exactly what comes out of them. But it smells really, really nice. So just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma before you get stuck into this one. But let's have a go at it now. So this one is the Northern Powerhouse, the 25th anniversary beer from Roosters Brewery, brewed in collaboration with Magic Rock from Huddersfield. A true Yorkshire beer, this one. Let's get stuck in. Slàinte, skål. That's nice. The thing that's immediate to you, that immediately comes to you with this beer, session IPA straight up. You do get some session IPAs that are just, you know, they don't have a little bit of that kick to them that you expect from an IPA. This one, it definitely has that. I would say that about the beer. Some of the session IPAs can be a little bit of a letdown in terms of hoppiness and juiciness and stuff like that. This one has a nice little bit. That piney, I was saying the piney resin doesn't come out in the aroma so much with this one. It definitely comes out in the flavour. You can feel that nice darkness, that nice sort of dark dankness, if you like, to the hops in this one. It's lovely. But yeah, that's a nice beer, that. So the malt base, as I was saying, as you expect, it's a nice kind of, you can feel some of that nice white bready character there just go right across the middle of the palate. As the flavour mellows out a little bit more, you start to get a little bit of that barley kind of grainy thing. It's that typical kind of a trademark, if you like, of English malt, I think. Yeah, for me, the malt base on this one, it does mellow out a little bit. If you go right down the middle line of your tongue, it's almost got a little bit of a kind of bread and butter kind of thing to it, but there's a little bit of a biscuity sweetness in there. It's not quite caramel, but I would say there's a little bit of a biscuity sweetness there down the middle of your tongue. It's nicely done, this one. In the back corners of your palate, there's a little bit of earthiness there, and I would say that builds a good bridge with this beer, because you have those grainy kind of notes kind of shining through with it. The earthy quality that's in the back corners of your palate builds a good bridge with those kind of grainy parts of the beer, which is really nice. But yeah, the hoppy things, as I was saying, the piney resins on this one, you do get a bit of piney resin out of this beer along the front sides of your palate. It's a nice kind of it's definitely more piney resin. It's got that darkness to it, and I was forgetting that. I mean, you know, the hop that always springs to mind for me when you think about pine resins is Chinook. Chinook for me is that. It's got that really dark grapefruity flavour, and it gives you this really strong kind of piney resin to it. I never would have thought with the hops that are in this that you would quite get that. But it's really interesting. I do wonder, maybe they have put a bit of Chinook in here or something like that, because Azacca, as far as I can remember, I don't remember it having such a pine resinous quality. I mean, I know, you know, Mosaic and Simcoe, they're not really resinous like that. They're more floral, but the dark kind of dankness that comes out of the Flora aromaticity, unless they've used another bittering hop in this that they haven't mentioned, which is possible, I've had forgotten that Azacca can kind of give you that, which is interesting. But yeah, I like how that backs it up. I mean, of course, around the front curve of the palate, you've got a little bit of a lighter kind of grassy note coming out of this beer, and it goes together really quite nicely. The fruits in this one are nice and soft and kind of oily. If you just go behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you get that little oily bubble where those nice kind of fruity notes start to come out of the beer. For me, there's actually a little bit of grapefruit in this one. There is a little touch of grapefruit there. On top of that, you've got the passion fruit, which again is one of these slightly darker tropical fruit flavours, and as the beer kind of mellows out a little bit, you start to get the mandarins and the kind of, I think that definitely there's a bit of the sharper mandarin in there, but you've got the nice smooth kind of more tangerine notes from the Mosaic coming out of the beer as well. And as you go further and further into the aftertaste, you do almost get a little bit of mango. Again, as I say, mango surprises me when there's not Citra in this beer, because that's the kind of trademark flavour that you get from that hop. But there's a wee bit of a kind of pineapple-y note, I think, as well, which is that, for me, from what I remember, that's the Mosaic that tends to give you that. You tend to get a bit of tangerine in the beginning and a little bit of a kind of pineapple-y note at the end, but the things that are really resonating in the end of the flavour with this beer, it's the piney resins, that sort of grainy note from the malt base that I was talking about, and a little bit of the earthy hops, and some of that sort of grapefruity passion fruit, those darker tropical fruit flavours are what is lingering there, pardon me, as you go further and further into the aftertaste. But yeah, it's a nice beer, this one. I like how it goes together. I mean, as I say, one of the things with the session IPAs is that often they can lack a little bit of that kick that you want from the IPA, whether it be fruitiness, whether it be the kind of more caramelly notes that I enjoy about the West Coast IPAs, you know, whether it's the nice big juicy fruity character that you get from the New England IPAs, you know, some of them can just lack a little bit of a kick for a session IPA. I mean, 4.5%, if you think about English craft beer generally, when it comes to the real ales and stuff, usually they're all about 4%. So they are a little bit lower than the German beers, and obviously quite a bit lower than the Belgian beers and things like this. For 4.5%, that is actually probably one of the heavier beers that you're going to get when it comes to English beer. This, of course, is a craft beer rather than a real ale, but it's nice, and I do like the fact that as a session IPA, as a lower ABV IPA, it definitely still has a little bit of that kick to it, so that's a plus point for me when it comes to this beer. In terms of the mouthfeel then, I would say it's mid-bodied. Carbonation does have a little bit of a prickle to it. It leans more towards the oily side of things. Normally I've found with session IPAs before, they do tend to be a bit smoother. It's more of a kind of bready thing, but this one definitely has more of an oily mouthfeel to it. There's a nice hoppy bitterness to it. This is one of the higher IBU beers I would say that I've had in the session IPA category, but maybe that's just the pine resins giving that impression with this beer. I would love to know if they've used Chinook in this one, because that I wouldn't have thought you'd get that piney resin from a Zacharite enough. I'll need to look that up after the video now. But it's got a nice little bit of juicy fruity character in there. There's a little bit of bitterness coming from the malt base too, but at the same time the malt base has a little bit of that bread and butter kind of biscuity sweetness to it as well. But overall, it's a nice beer. Would I drink it again? Yes. I'd like to try it on tap actually and see how it comes across. I do wonder how that beer would be with cask conditioning, but as you've heard me say in videos before, I do prefer keg to cask. I like the beers to have a little bit of that crispness. Out of the can, it comes across really nicely, but it would be interesting just to see how the malt base on this one kind of shores up, if you like, with the cask conditioning, because I think with the sort of more grainy notes that you get from English malt, I do wonder if that's something that kind of goes together, you know, the sort of smoother and slightly warmer quality that you'll get of cask beers in comparison to the kind of colder, more crisp feel that you get in comparison to keg and can and bottle and things like that. It's an interesting thing to think about, but the main point to take away is it's a nice beer, it's a nice session IPA, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. So happy 25th anniversary to the guys at Roosters Brewery for this one. They've done a nice beer for it. Magic Rock, of course, you know, involved as well, and you know, you're not going to get a bad beer from them, but really nice beer this one, and I definitely look forward to reviewing more from Roosters in the future. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what beers you reckon I should try from Roosters as well. As I said, this is my very first encounter with them. Magic Rock is a known entity to me, of course, so I just pick up things whenever they produce them. But as I say, thank you for watching. Let me know your own thoughts, and you know, give me some beer recommendations from Roosters and any interesting things from Magic Rock or Yorkshire that you might come across. But until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff, and I will catch you guys very soon. The Northern Powerhouse Session IPA 25th anniversary beer from Roosters Brewery in Knaresborough in Yorkshire, brewed in collaboration with Magic Rock. A really quite interesting beer. Till the next time, it's Slange just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. Cheers.